You know, Blurbs has always felt like an indie production, so let's make it AAA.
Blurbs was then promptly laid off due to budget concerns.
What the hell? AAA games and indie games have been able to coexist over the last decade, filling separate niches both in price and in content. AA games, however, have recently been pushing on AAA games as they offer a comparable experience but often from a more concentrated development team. I think the future of large-scale video games is AA, and I think this all comes down to the 3 C's. Concentrated development, creative freedom, and cool John.
You guys want any drugs?
I mean community engagement. So today on Blurbs, let's talk about why AA games are the future. Okay, the first C is concentrated development. AA studios often sit at around 25 to 100 employees. This means that while teams are smaller, they are more connected and more aligned in their goals. The focus of making 14th century Bohemia feel realistic is only possible because it's a small team passionate about creating something that interests them, creating something historically accurate, and executing on their vision. AAA studios often get bloated and heavy as certain departments have entirely different visions for the game than others. This makes their worlds feel incohesive, messy, and purposeless. A great director can unify a vision, but it's rare, and often in doing so, development for AAA games takes much longer as everyone has to consistently be reined back in. This brings us to a subcategory of concentrated development, which is money. And money speaks. Oh hey, it's me. I'm on the money. Games like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Clair Obscur Expedition 33 feel AAA in every sense, but cost a mere fraction of a bigger budget title like Assassin's Creed. You can look at any of Sony's titles from recent, aside from Astrobot, and see just how expensive these monoliths are to create because their teams are huge and the length of development is long. Shrinking that team down to a third or even a sixth, as many AA studios do, significantly reduces costs, and often because of the bloat I spoke about earlier, doesn't come at the expense of quality. This doesn't mean big studios should lay off employees. I actually like how Obsidian handled this, as they split their larger team into multiple small teams making small games. Pentiment, Avowed, Outer Worlds, and Grounded were all better games made by smaller teams inside of a big studio. Tied to this whole money thing is the developer's creative freedom, which is kinda like my creative freedom to throw this grenade. Because they aren't answering to a greedy CEO, they're not trying to appease stockholders, and they aren't being put in a corner where they have to appeal to every fan, these devs can craft experiences that are truly special. No game can please everyone. A French-as-hell JRPG with a Sekiro-like parrying system doesn't sound entirely appealing on the surface, but Sandfall Interactive had a vision that goes way farther than anyone's preconceived notions about the genre they're in. And also Robert Pattinson. I know it's not him, but a man can dream. A man can dream. I think this is one of my favorite things about these AA games, and it's also the biggest holdback from a lot of CEOs. They just do crazy things. Sometimes this results in weird, off-putting mechanics, but most of the time it utterly endears you to a game. Pacific Drive is a game based around the novel Roadside Picnic. It sees you driving a car around a warped Pacific Northwest as you constantly have to make repairs and upgrades in order to get farther and explore the world. South of Midnight uses a claymation style to retell emotional stories of the South through giant monsters. Hellblade is a game about exploring the mind of a person with PTSD as they try to make their way through a twisted world, and Sifu just kicks your ass. That's just the game. These games are amazing, but when you say their premises out loud, you see why AAA developers can't do them and why AA can. But it's always good to keep connected with your community. We hate you. On the surface, community engagement is attainable at all levels of development, but the truth is AAA just truly can't access it. When Arc Raiders tested the game and asked fans questions, there were no middlemen and no publishers sticking their hands in the pot. Decisions like going from a looter shooter to an extraction shooter were made with rigorous playtesting and not with pressure based on monetization schemes. Battlefield Labs may be a great way to test community sentiment about features, but ultimately the bigwigs at EA are pulling pulling all the strings, and the community's voice is merely reassurance. This has been further proven by EA boss Andy Wilson saying they might move the release date up. We saw this with Concord, as community feedback stated that the game needed to be free to play and it needed to be delayed. Everywhere people talked about the game, this was the push, but PlayStation CEOs decided that they knew better and they put a product out that had no community testing. I mean, hell, the beta for this game came out only a couple of months before the full launch. There was not nearly enough time to implement all the feedback that they had. When a AA development studio talks to its fans, it's talking to its fans, truly gathering information and changing their game based on it. All this said, obviously in a year GTA 6 is going to launch, and I couldn't care less.
Oh god, he's gonna go on a rant.
AAA games, even the best of them, fail to interest me. I got weird games like Clear Obscure Expedition French as Hell. I got cool games like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I made a horseshoe, and I got awesome multiplayer games like Arc Raiders, which is way better than that other slop I already forgot about. I'm excited for the future of AA games, and I hope you are too. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye now.
Wow, that was an impassioned Blurbs moment, but I'm passionate about my patrons, who are Avon, Nickel Simba, Spider-Man on my new PS5, Johnny Hammerstick, Bandwagon, I Want an Apple, and Shenangelo. You guys are all the best. Thank you so much for another month of support, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.